Afternoon, everyone. This is official, y'all. No more mic checks, okay? Thank you all for coming out. This is a very important topic that the black community run away from talking about, or they keep it as a secret, a family secret, or just turn their heads, basically. And that's why we're here. I know myself, I have a child who suffers from mental illness, and these ladies will introduce themselves and we'll get right into mental illness. So I'm Monica. I am the CEO of Survivors with a Purpose and the host of SWAP Radio, which is Survivors with a Purpose.
My name is Dr. Tanya Phillips. I'm Chief CEO for Team Phillips Consulting Group. Our mission is to educate and empower the Black African American community about mental health readiness and mental health awareness and how to reduce and stamp out stigmas in our community.
And I'm Latoya. I'm the co-host of SWAT Radio, and I appreciate each and every one of y'all coming out today. This means a lot to myself as well as Monica, so thank you, and let's have a good day.
All right. Y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all we a little, I don't know, maybe Toya not nervous. I don't know. Are you nervous today?
No, I'm good.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
So listen. I just listen. So mental illness in itself, I'm going to have Dr. Phillips explain to you exactly what mental illness is. You may have your own definition, which is probably incorrect. So she's going to give you the right professional and educated definition.
Mental illness is a host of behavioral health conditions that manifest in changes in mood, emotions, cognition, and the way that people behave. There is, again, as I stated, there's a host of various mental health conditions that by professional standards, we use the Diagnostic Statistical Manual to kind of help us assess and determine which criterion people meet. Criterion basically means a set of symptoms that manifest to support being able to make a clear diagnosis of what we're seeing.
Okay, so just a quick question, because I was a guest on someone's show and they asked me how did I know and at what age I knew that my child had a problem. So in saying that, is it possible to take the terrible twos and say, oh, it's the terrible twos and it's not a mental health issue?
Absolutely possible. And that's just not only the terrible twos, but it's important when we're thinking about mental health illnesses that we consider cultural aspects as well as environmental influences. A 2-year-old, by nature of 2-year-old, developmentally their role and their whole functioning is to explore their environment. So you'll find a 2-year-old, which they call tantrums, doing their own thing. Well, by developmental standards, that 2-year-old is finally out of the womb, out of the stroller, knowing how to walk, knowing how to crawl, and clearly able to tell you no. Right? So that looks defiant, that looks deviant, that looks rebellious. But that's a 2-year-old. So it's extremely and immensely important that we understand developmental milestones, cultural norms. So it's a lot, and you know, when I speak in these arenas in my own community, it's really important that we are armed with education and knowledge. One of the things one of many, I believe, that hurt us in our own circles is a level of ignorance, right? And it is the things that we say that have been passed down in our own communities that are full of error and fallacy. So I think that it's very important that we tighten up in terms of our awareness and our understanding of what mental health disorders are.
Yes. Now, I think, and I know I was joking with a few people out here, like, oh, I think you suffer from, people like Google. Google is some of their doctors. Y'all don't act like you don't. Come on now. Look, she laughing. Y'all know. Y'all go to Google for everything. So some of those symptoms do cross paths. And, somebody in this room, we were talking about their sister-in-law and how she was acting out. Okay?
I heard.
Yeah. Oh, you heard that? So she seems a little bipolar to me, but I'm not a doctor. I don't know what exactly is going on with her. Maybe she hasn't accepted it. So that's where I'm going now, these hard pills to swallow, which is admitting that you're not okay, asking for help, learning to accept that you have a problem, removing toxic people and habits, also beliefs from your system, and allowing yourself to feel your emotions. Now, I don't know if anyone in the room, you don't have to raise your hand if you are dealing with it, but do you have a family member? And I think all of us have a family member. Look at her hand was the first to go up because I know she's talking about that sister-in-law. However, if you have a family member that may be suffering from mental illness, you're right. Yeah, she's exactly right. It's okay to acknowledge that you do. Not saying that you do, but if you do, Shantae, it's okay to raise your hand. Y'all know I had to throw a joke in there because we can't be too serious. Come on now.
But can I add something?
Yes,
Just
ma'am.
to add to the language. And again, my passions and my purpose is to bring awareness to my community. And a lot of the stigmas that is associated with mental health wellness is people don't want to be labeled.
Yep.
Right? They don't want to be called things. They don't want to be seen as broken or damaged. And one of the things I heard you say, somebody suffering with. Right? We have to change that language because someone living with a mental illness is not necessarily suffering. Right? And when we believe and we speak suffrage to a people that by history have always been oppressed,
Okay.
right? We got to begin to break down the walls and the barriers that stop us. Because if you tell me I'm suffering with something and I think I'm living my blessed life or I'm living my best life, right, that automatically assumes that I have a level of handicap or a level of brokenness that I potentially could easily become ashamed of and not seek the help. So I think one of the things that you had on there, learning to own our feelings, was that
No.
there? I'm sorry.
Allowing yourself to feel your emotions.
Right? That right there is contradictory to what we've always been taught. Right? Let's think of the messages. Boys, shut up. Don't cry. Stop acting like a little girl. Girls, shut up before I give you something to cry for. You're being melodramatic. You're so dramatic.
talk
Get
about
over
that.
it. Right? So these messages that are common discussions at the dinner table, right? They begin the foundation for keeping my mouth shut, right? Nobody cares about how I feel. They keep telling me to shut up. They keep telling me I'm suffering when I'm actually living. So our goal in the mental health community, my goal, especially for my people that look like me, is to say that, hey, you're not suffering. You're living your best life despite the set of symptoms that are showing up in your life. And our job as the professionals is to empower the lay people. That's everybody out here, right? Because we all have a role. If we raised our hand and said that I know someone living with a emotional or mental health disorder, then we too now become co-laborers in their healing. So it's our duty to arm ourselves with the accurate knowledge and to break down some of these stony walls that have been norms in our community.
So if we're not supposed to Google stuff to find out these terms and be correct in how we address these things, where do we go for this kind of information?
Perfect question. Where do we go? Blacktherapist.com is a website that's full of, and again, I endorse my own. Blacktherapist.com is a website full of mental health professionals that are servicing our community and are armed and educated with the information and knowledge we need. Now, Google may very well be your first stop. All right, because that's what we do. We check out the internet. It's on purpose. We pay $600, $700, $800 for these smartphones. I encourage everybody to be smart and use them. But once you discover that, oh my gosh, right? Wow, I do see this. The help-seeking behavior has to be on point. That then I use my $600, $700, $800 smartphone and I find a resource for my baby or myself. Because too often we say, he just need his butt whipped.
So really quick, for people who are not in the room, the uh, question was, if they didn't go to Google, where are they supposed to go to find out the information? And you said to,
Baltimore City's full of resources. Our hub for mental health services is Baltimore Crisis Response, 410-433-5175, full of crisis team, mental health professionals that are on board 24/7. There's a hotline. That hotline is available for adults as well as children to provide mental health resources and services. The other hub for Baltimore City is Baltimore Substance Abuse Services, 410-637-1900. Their role, again, is to link and provide resources and services for substance abuse education. The other thing is on the back of each and everyone's insurance card, whomever is insured, at the bottom of that insurance card, it says if you need behavioral health services, here's an in-network and out-of-network provider. So that's always your your top 3 resources for linking with services. I encourage people in my community, because we are not familiar with asking for help. We are not familiar with talking about the intimate details of our mental and emotional capacities. I encourage people before they seek therapy and start treatment that they do a thorough screen, right? You're the consumer. So when you start seeking out mental health services, request to know the background of that person, educationally, academically, and things of that nature. Request to meet with them and find out what their style of therapy is and what they'll be doing. Get yourself acquainted with the process of mental health treatment so that it reduces the discomfort that's associated with saying, hey, something is going on with me.
okay, question really quick about the crisis numbers. Do you have to be already registered for the
You have
crisis?
to be a Baltimore City resident.
Okay.
Yep, you have to be a Baltimore City resident. And they will screen, review. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm getting thirsty. They will screen, review, and let you know whether you're eligible or not. Eligibility criterion is 1, to be a resident of Baltimore City, and 2, to be uninsured or medical assistance for their program. If you have commercial insurance, then they will begin to talk to you about how to utilize your benefits through your commercial insurance.
So I'm guessing Baltimore County has the same type of services.
Baltimore County has a crisis
Because I know we're all
response team
not
as
city
well.
residents.
Baltimore County, each county has a resource for mental health and emotional health services. In the counties, it's usually linked with your local health department. I do not know those numbers right off the top of my head.
It's okay.
But again, use your $800 smartphone and Google crisis response teams for your county.
Right.
Call the Behavioral Health Administration. I think that number is, the main line is 410-402-3000. That's headquartered in Catonsville. That's Springgrove Hospital, but it's the headquarters for the entire state.
Okay.
Excuse me, sir. Would you mind step to the mic so we can capture everything?
There has been a great move to bring awareness to emotional, mental, and substance use disorders. So there's a lot of resources out and available. Right, that noise.
It's okay. It's your necklace.
That's your face. I was saying that if you contact the Behavioral Health Administration main headquarters, they're at Spring Grove Hospital, located in Catonsville. I believe the number is 410-402-3000, and that's the statewide headquarters. So they will be able to, you can tell them what county or what jurisdiction you're located in, and they'll be able to connect you to the proper resources in that specific county.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So extra. Okay, so before we were talking about symptoms, each illness has its own symptoms, but common signs of mental illness in adults and adolescents can include some of the following: excessive worrying or fear, feeling excessively sad or low, confused thinking or problems concentrating and learning. I know some of us have children who they just immediately, when they having issues in school, what's the first label they give them?
ADHD.
ADHD.
That's it. And I think that's probably why, I don't know if it was my mom. Somebody was a little, thought my child should have medicine earlier than he did get it. But I was against it, so I held off until he was a teenager and even getting the medicine. So I just suggest, now I don't know, I'm going to ask you your suggestion, but I don't suggest just running out and just getting the medicine. And I didn't even, whenever the doctor suggested it, I researched the medicine to know what it is you was going to give him. And if the side effects were worse than what was already going on, I wasn't okay with you giving it to him. Because if he wasn't already hallucinating, why is this a side effect? And then he could possibly now be hallucinating. So what is your suggestion on giving meds?
I think it's a case-by-case situation, but what I do encourage parents, especially, again, in our community, there are several cultural aspects that influence a child's ability to sit still and pay attention. And our children tend to have exposure to things that other children may not have exposure to. So it's difficult for me to sit in school and pay attention if I know that somebody in my family was shot last week. If I know that my family is at home worried about things. If I know that some of the things that are going on at home may not be safe and I am required to sit in school from 8 o'clock to 2:30 and I don't know what's happening at home, I wouldn't be able to pay attention in that. So to expect our babies to sit in class and be able to focus and pay attention, that is potentially a barrier. But what I do encourage my parents and families to do, if you're noticing that things are going on with your child, work carefully with the professionals to ask about alternatives. All right,
Okay.
if I say I'm not ready for medication, well, what else can I do from a behavioral lens? All right, does he need a one-on-one in school? Does he need different time? Does he need time out? All right, do I need to limit screen time at home? All right, what can I do at home to ensure that my child has the capability of sitting down? All right, we are in a technology era where our children are spending a great deal of time in front of televisions and on iPads and iPods, and then they get to school and they don't recognize a pencil and they don't recognize a piece of paper. So at home, from the home front, 'cause remember I teamed you all in, you're lay members. All right, so on the
Right.
home front, we need you all to put a pencil in their hand. All right, turn the tablet off and put a pencil in their hand because all schools aren't equipped with data. All right, so they may, again, still just have a pencil and a piece of paper and be expected to sit through a lecture. So if we are at home giving them a tablet and giving them free will to come to the table when they want to, all right, we can't expect them to understand structure in the classrooms. So I think the first thing, if parents are saying absolutely not, he's too young, she's too young, I'm not starting them on medicine, then I encourage the parents to start doing things differently at home. All right, let's see what we can see. So again, to answer, it's a case by case. But if we're not going to do medicine, then we have to tighten up in other aspects.
Okay. Okay. It's a good thing he's 22 now, and I don't have to worry about that. No, I really don't. So, Toya, is it anything you want to share before I continue? Because I can go on for days.
Are we doing personal testimonies or
You can if you want.
I'm just following behind
For
you.
people to relate. It's just open floor now.
Oh,
So,
okay.
do anyone have a question? Maybe? No? You're thinking about it? Shantae, would you like to come up and speak now?
I have a question,
Okay.
and it's just an open question. How honest would you all be if you were experiencing or seeing mental health or emotional health symptoms in someone that you loved, like or know? How honest would you be? And then secondly, how willing would you be to support them with getting some help?
You want to come up? Can you come up and talk to me?
Okay. I would be open to all aspects of mental health for myself, my family. I've been through a lot. I deal with a lot of different personalities. A lot of things are going on in and around me within my family. And I have realized that you have to be good for yourself. And if nobody else can benefit from you if you mentally aren't prepared for things. So if everybody around you is in a disarray, then how can anything be accomplished? So I'm all for the mental health because I have too much stuff going on in the world to be stressed out.
Right.
And everybody else should feel that way. So if anybody in my family, I am the first person that has jumped on the mental therapy bandwagon. I see a therapist. There's one in my building at work. I talk to her all day. She talks to me. It's free. I'm good with that. But like the people around me are still stuck in it's my business. I don't want nobody to know this, that, and the third. If you hold it in, you're going down. So if I could reach anybody in my family, because I have some crazy ones. I don't even want to say that. That's a label. I have some that don't even understand.
I was getting ready to say, I hate that crazy word.
I have people that are around me and my family that don't even understand what's going on within themselves.
Right.
I will say that. So if anything comes out of this seminar today that I can take to even embrace the people around me that have this stigma going on in their mind, I'm taking it and I'm running with it. So if you can give me tips on how to even reach out to somebody who has that wall up, that doesn't even want to accept that they and themselves have these symptoms, let me know. Please do.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, yes. All right. We have Shanette step into the mic.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Hello. She said everything.
I speak to Monica all the time. It took a long time for me to be able to talk about my own mental illness. A lot of people don't know that I struggle with mental illness. I was diagnosed with manic depression, major depression, and anxiety attacks in 2009. And I can say honestly that it stemmed from me dealing with my kid's father. We broke off then. I was left to be a single parent. I was scared of failure. I did not know how I was going to make it. But God sustained it all. And in 2011, I didn't understand then what was going on. I went and seek help. My doctor said, I don't know what more to do for you. I can't give you any more prescriptions. I'm one that don't like to take medication, so I still struggle with that daily. I have been also labeled as crazy in my family, and it took a long time. I would sit and I would cry. I won't even go to family events due to that. But now I can honestly stand here now and say I would accept being called crazy, because you know why? I now take that as a compliment, because at the end of the day, an average-minded person is not creative. They can't do what I do. It takes someone crazy to do and fill my shoes
She did all this.
and do what I do. I started my own little business I wanted to do in 2011 due to that, because the doctor said, stay home and take a year off. And I'm like, a year? I've been working since I was 15. I have these 2 kids I have to take care of. I'm a single parent. I decided to create balloons, and then from balloons, I decided to do weddings and baby showers. I started within the family, and then in 2013, the family said, go outside the family, do something and show, everybody else. And I'm gonna tell you, I've been booming ever since. I have not physically yet. I have, but regrouping and doing things and saying this is what I'm doing permanently. But it takes Monica, who calls me every time to put me to work, to find something for me to do. And I drag my kids, because at the end of the day, they have to understand what mommy goes through. They used to see me sit and cry, and they would just say, Mommy, it will be all right. Not understanding what I was going through. And now my child is 13 and 11. And now I had to learn self-love, back to that, right, Monica, because that's what conquers all. I look at all the men in my life, my father, who never loved me, I felt, left my mother when I was 3 to raise me and my sister. And then I went through the same thing with my kid's father. So at the end of the day, I never had felt like I've been loved by someone. My mother went through, and not understanding what she was going through, couldn't really show me love, but she loved me. Sure she did, but she didn't know how to really show it and share it, but she, taking care of me. That's what they did. But through it all, I can honestly say I learned self-love, and that's what's getting me through. Now, with the help of God, I take my medication, trying to, like I'm supposed to. For a long time, like, I'm not going to see no therapist. I'm not crazy. I see a psychiatrist once a month. I see a therapist twice a month. I mean, for the last 5 years, the therapist left, but I'm now back in with another one. But like I said, it just seemed like they picked the right ones that match up with what I need. Right. And it seemed like when we meet, it's like they never, Lindsay left, now I have a Lauren. And they have the same spirit. So it didn't take me a long time to open up to Lauren. And it seemed like, well, I never, I ain't got to start all over, because it seemed like Lauren know me from Lindsay. So, and I go to the Walter B. Carter Center right on West Pratt Street, third floor, outpatient therapy. And I'm telling y'all, it took a lot for me to stand here, because people might see me creating balloons, doing weddings. They don't know what I go through my daily living. I only share with some people, but I would like to say, you're not crazy. You're not alone, because like the young lady, Ayana said, people deal with their own issues and don't know how to say what they're going through, or they don't care to share. Now, and I share with everybody. Again, they can call me crazy. I will say thank you, because at the end of the day, there's no one that can fill these shoes and do what I do. The craziest person invented this world and everything else that runs it. So at the end of the day, I'm just standing and say, get help. Self-love. That's what got me to where I am today, and accept what I'm going through, my mental illness. I don't have panic attacks like I used to. Again, my triggers, understanding your trigger points. My family is my trigger. So they might say, oh, shouldn't let them come around? And now I got this car, they ain't going to see me. They going to come by my house, knock on the door. They say, oh, they done gave me some wheels. I'm out of here. I load the car up, me and my kids, we find something to do. I decide to deal with who I want to deal with. But I understand. People might say, oh, she don't know. You're my trigger. You trigger my feelings off, my emotions, and make me want to do things and say things that I don't want to. So at the end of the day, I'm going to avoid you, because I don't want what you're doing and what you're saying to make me feel or act some kind of way, because I feel like you have mental control over me then. I now gained self-control, and all the peace that I have right now, ain't nobody coming in to disrupt that, and want to make self-love.
Thank you. I think we're each other therapists. Yeah. You only see that person twice a month, because we talk to each other all the time for hours. I don't even supposed to be on the phone at work. I hope my supervisor's not looking. But I don't even supposed to be on the phone. We be on the phone 3 and 4 hours at work. That's awesome. Anyway. That's awesome. Anyone else would like to? No.
So clearly she's not struggling. She's productive and living with these symptoms and learning to manage them.
See, that's why I was meant for you to be here, so we can change that word from struggling to
change,
living.
We have to change the narrative. Right? We're responsible for changing the narrative, because whether we're looking at mental health disorders or emotional health disorders, all right? Emotional health disorders are those things we call stress, right? Tired, burnt out, overwhelmed, life on life terms, all right? So if we start talking that, then it falls on all of our laps. So we have a need to change the narrative about taking care of the thing that makes us function.
Right. So did you still want to share your story?
Okay. I start off with, I'd say this. Everybody goes to a cardiologist Everybody goes to see about their kidneys. Everybody goes to see about their lungs, but nobody goes to see about their brain. A brain is an organ. So I always, like I said, I always start off with that because everybody they don't actually get that concept that a brain is actually an organ. So when our mental health is off, you need something to, get it back in order. Okay, for me, I always get the initials mixed up.
You're living.
Yeah, I'm living with PSTD.
PTSD,
Yeah, I get them confused.
post-traumatic stress disorder.
I have post-traumatic stress disorder, and the story behind that is I gave birth to 2 children on one day, 13 years apart. But my baby, he would have been, September would have been his birthday. He would have been 11. Okay, go back 11 years. My ex-husband, he couldn't have children. So when we was pregnant, it was a big thing. Like, oh my God, she's pregnant, yay! And I was a housewife too. So the stress that I didn't have stress. I just had stress with the children. My children were young. So he turned to heavier drugs. So that stressed me out. I was cooking dinner on Easter morning, and that dinner was for my oldest son. Like I said, I had 2 sons on the same day. So he came in the house. He was stoned. Like his pupils was dilated. I could stick my finger through his pupil. That's how dilated his pupils was. So fast forward to the situation. Not trying to be rude or disgusting or whatever. I know my body. So my body, I go to the bathroom, bowel movement, every morning between 7 and 8. So I'm thinking that I had to make a bowel movement. But I'm actually was pushing my son. I had my son in the toilet. So I grabbed my son up and looked at him. That's how I know it was a son, because I opened his legs, I did all the kind of stuff. And then when I yelled out for my husband to call 911, that's when I passed out. And I was told I was brought back by the EMT because I had so much blood on the floor. So couple of months going down the line again, I was cooking, and I was cooking spaghetti, and I had a TV in my kitchen. So at the time, I was looking at like a First 48, something like that. So the little boy died, and I just froze. And then I was like having a panic attack, like, oh my God, what is going on? What is going on? So I called, my mother was in North Carolina. I told my mother, I called her, I said, Mommy, I'm getting ready to die. I was out of it. I was like, I'm getting ready to die. She was like, what? I'm in North Carolina. What are you talking about? I said, I'm getting ready to die. I don't know. This is what she was telling me, so I don't know what was going on. So she was like, she told me to call 911, so I can get to the hospital. So that she didn't want me to hurt nobody because she didn't know exactly what was going on with me. So I went to Sinai, and I had to stay in the psych ward for 2 weeks. And nobody didn't know that I was in a psych ward for 2 weeks. I had to deal with that all by myself because my husband, he had to work. So I know my triggers. And it's, like I said, I'm not trying to be funny to anybody out here. I'm just letting you know my story. My triggers are my monthly cycle and newborn babies. I can't be around newborn babies, and I can't deal with my cycle. So, they're my triggers.
Thank you for sharing your story.
No problem.
Can you get me over here? Get ready.
Don't cry.
Yeah,
Don't cry.
But wait a minute, isn't this segment about survivors?
Yes.
So, right, when I think about about, and I got invited. Can I talk about how we met?
Yes.
Like
yes.
somebody tagged me on Facebook. A good friend of mine, shout out to Sabrina Williams, very good friend of mine. She tagged me on Facebook, Wednesday?
Yes.
Really quick, and said somebody needs a mental health person. All right, she said mental health person.
She did not. She said professional.
Oh, did she? I thought she said person. She always, that's my homegirl, so I don't know what she called me. But she said it, and I was like, it's last minute. I was planning on laying back. All right, I'll reach out. If she need me, I'll come. And this is my passion, right? This is my baby, right? So when I see women talk about, hey, this is a problem, all right? We know that we're going to see babies all the time, and we know that menstrual cycles are going to come all the time, but you still get up, and you still put your clothes on, and you still boldly stand up and say, hey, this was my experience. I just want to dance, right? Because when we talking about Survivor, I showed up here not knowing what in the world I was coming to. So she done told me she doing Zumba. I got to go out here.
That's a stress reliever.
In the rec center. Like, I had no idea. But you all have blessed me tremendously today just to be here. And right, when we talk about these stories, and we all have our own narratives, but when we talk about mental health, we cannot afford to shame it or dirty it up or do anything, because you said it. Some of the brightest, most articulate, most responsible people are those that are living with something. And if we continue to live in shame and denial and ignorance, all right, when we talk about the family members that are saying you're crazy, you're this, that's a level of ignorance that we just have to put to death. All right, I don't want us to hide it. I don't want us to put it in the closet. I want us to murder it, right? Because it's stopping us from truly living our best lives. All right, so I am just floored right now at the testimonies. All right, you have to live on purpose. You have to live on purpose. All right, post-traumatic stress is just that. It's after a traumatic event. And if I can recognize what my triggers are, and then I can recognize what happens to me and honestly, openly reach out and get the help I need, then I'm a survivor, not a victim.
Y'all don't want to clear it? Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. I just want to end my live. So you gonna do the Zumba? You gonna head up the Zumba?
I can't because I got a sprained ankle, and technically
I feel like she making excuses, you guys. She making excuses.
I'm supposed to have a boot on, but I'm too cute and too vain to wear that ugly boot.
Oh, okay.
But I'm gonna stay and shake my arms, maybe.
Okay.
You help me? All right. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is the community. All right. And I watch the news, and I watch stuff, and I watch what they say about us. All right. They talk about us. I watch. But then I see my sister saying, I'm going to help you. I got you. Don't worry about it. Right? By history, y'all, we strong.
So I'm gonna ask you a question about your sister.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm gonna put you on the spot.
She
I'm going there.
She messing with you.
So this is the young lady. See, that's my mother, and I'm calling her the young lady.
Okay.
So on my show, I have spoke about how I know for sure I'm my son's trigger, because I'm going to tell him no. So today, of all days, he wanted to have an episode. It was coming. If he didn't get money today, it was going to be in whole. Oh, gosh. So anyway, I made it so that I had my other child take him the money. But on normal days, my father trying to hide from me, but on normal days, either one of them will take, it don't matter. They will be the one to say, well, here you go. So this counteracts what I'm trying to do, period. And it's been that way. Look at her face.
It's trying to get me jacked up, y'all.
No, really, because it's been like that for a long time. But I think that when we're dealing with, because I asked them, was it their child or mine? Because they always do that. They've been doing that since he was little. So it's like, well, if she not going to do it, grandma gonna do it. And I know grandmothers do that, grandmothers in the room. However, that's not a good recipe for getting, for him being on the right track. He's already not good with change, period. That's just not good. If he's used to getting whatever he gets to smoke, because he does smoke marijuana. So if he used to getting it at 10 o'clock and he can't get it to 12 o'clock, it's going to be some furniture moving, some EPs going on, okay? So, again, my question, shouldn't we be on the same page somewhere?
Absolutely, because there's a thin line between support and enabling. So it's really important
She's trying to
that
be
if
nice
we're
to my
talking about
parents,
trying to
being
change a
enabling.
behavior, a boundary has to be set,
Okay.
right? And if a boundary is set, we have to stick with it. Otherwise, I'm going to send y'all an invoice.
I just had to ask.
You're my Zumba partner. We on one accord. We're not fighting.
Woman.
You know, I'm just saying. Now, the reason I do this for him is not because I would say nothing crazy about him. I mean, I love him because that's crazy. But I'm trying to keep my things from getting broke. Okay? The holes in the walls and all that good stuff. But also, I work with him. Okay? I have tried to get him therapy.
God bless
That I go for. I'm there on the phone. Cause see,
I'm not.
she can't.
I'm not. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't say you were.
Oh, I'm sorry, girl. I was getting ready. Ma,
This
I
sounds
was
like
getting
a
ready to move
family
this
therapy
microphone.
recommendation. I showed up as a consultant to support a community awareness. This sounds like a family therapy session is recommended.
I love him dearly.
I know.
That's their son. I had him for them. They wanted one more boy, and I gave it to them. I'm just saying. Me too. I keep asking these people for a sister, because everybody else I call my sister, they're like a sister. They won't give me a sister, y'all. So I had to have 2 daughters. Okay. So you know what I'm talking about. Shanae, you get it. Come on, kid. You know I ain't had no. What was I hanging with the boys? I was a tomboy. 'Cause I didn't have a sister.
Cause see, she was everybody's mother.
That's not true, Ma. Because when I start looking at boys, then there we go, being teenage mothers. See that? You too, Sean Taylor. What you laughing for? Yeah, Nicole. I see a couple teenage mothers out there. Huh? Sean Taylor, you still not ready to speak? Because I'm ready to close it out. You don't want us? Okay, Sean Taylor's going to come up and speak before we close it out.
So since she called me out
Again.
and again, my name is Shantae, and like she said, being a teenage mom threw me in the loop. I wasn't ready to be a mom, but being a teenage mom made me ready. So I now have 5 biological children and 2 additional children that I call my own, which is a total of 7. How can I say it? I've been through everything under the sun. Dealing with, I always diagnose myself with bipolar. It's very hard dealing with me. It's very hard with me dealing with myself. I can't, like she said, focus on one thing. I'm all different places. I have multiple certifications in nursing where I can work anywhere in a hospital, from the emergency room down to a doctor's office. I have kids who are suffering with different mental living with mental illness due to me of being a strict mom and don't want them to go through half of the stuff that I've been through living in the city. So I uprooted my whole family and moved to the county. So we're in Howard County, and thinking things was going to get better, I ran into a situation where half of the kids are dealing with the same thing no matter where you go. So, like I said, me diagnosing myself with bipolar, it's, how can I say this? If it's not my way, it's the highway. So when I say no, I mean no. Even to my husband of 11 years, married, together for 22. When I mean no, I meant no. Last year, I just came to a grips after seeing one of my children go through a mental scare, noticing that some of it was my fault. I didn't let him be a child. I wanted him to be close to me, not experience things because of family members going through different things in life. Um, Sports, things like that. If my kids didn't want to do it, I didn't push them. Where he explained to me, my 9-year-old is the same as him. So, not giving medication, like she said when they were young, my child ain't on no medication. Ain't nothing wrong with him. We gonna get through this. Let me change the diet. No sugar, no this, no that. Trying to change everything, and it still hit home once he got older. So it was like no matter what I did to avoid the situation, I made the situation come later in life instead of dealing with it right then and there. And then looking back on my life, I know I was an uproar. I was always the uproar. We even talk about it to this day. Me and my brother was the uproar. My mother should have gave us medicine when we were younger. But back then, it wasn't nothing upset about it. Like she said, oh, just beat them. My mother had the belt going through Montgomery Woods. We all got beat going through the racks. So I see it now.
Going through the
but
racks.
Going through the racks. Yeah, you know how you run through the racks?
Yes.
Girl, Montgomery Woods was our playground.
Oh my goodness.
So looking back on things, you know, I joke about it, but I know how to deal with it, you know, and my kids don't know how to deal with it. So now, you know, therapist has been around ever since my youngest was born. I try to get them therapy no matter where we go, what we do. If you can't talk to me, you can talk to somebody. You know, whatever you feel as though that you can't talk to me about, and some things I do not want my kids to talk to me about, but they do. And I have to sit there and listen. But getting them help helps a lot. Because if they feel as though they can't talk to you and they have somebody to call and somebody to talk to, it takes a lot of stress off of you as well. You know, I even have my husband, look, you need to go see somebody. I know I'm crazy. I'm a lot to deal with, you know, so you need to take this card and call this person. You know, so I know how to deal with it now. But growing up, I was always called the black sheep in the family. Something wrong with her. She crazy. Why is she over there looking at people like that? Why is she talking about people like that? Oh, yeah, something wrong with your daughter. It wasn't that. It's just that I just knew, like she said, who to deal with and who not to deal with. Who to zap out on and who to be calm with. So you just learn as you get older. And I'm just glad that she had this to tell people it's okay to come out and say something. It's okay to say, it's something wrong with me. I'm going to need you to fall back for a minute so I get myself together so that way I can deal with you.
That's right.
So that's the best thing that I can say. So whenever you see it, say it. Check this out. I need 5 minutes. Let me get in my corner, deal with me, and then I'll deal with you. And even if you tell your kids that as well, because it'll help some kids.
You want something? Sure. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Because we need it to be heard. It's okay. That's because she don't know if she my cousin or my sister-in-law.
Thanks, Shantae, for sharing that about your kids. Because I'm dealing with that now as my son.
Ornata, you have a call at the front office. Ornata, please report to the front office.
We in school.
I love my community.
I do too, you know.
Is that Arnetta?
I want to
Hey, it's Arnetta.
I want to
Love my
say
community.
to Shantae, that's your name, right? Thank you for bringing that up about the kids, because my son is now 13, and I know when I used to say, they used to sit and see me go through the things that I went through, different relationships and all of that. If I must bring those up, I now watch, who I bring in to my home and into my kids' lives, because that also plays a big part in their behavior, mental health as well. I know some people always tell their kids, sit down, they can't express their feelings. I always allow my kids to express their feelings, where other people might say they're too grown or whatever. I never told my kids that whatever goes on in this house stays in this house, because at the end of the day, I know I suffered with mental illness. And I always told my kids, back then I suffered with mental illness, and I would tell my kids, if you didn't come to share to me, go to someone else. My kids are afraid to come and tell me stuff because mommy goes crazy. I go to the school, I'm going in the classroom, I'm going here. They say they got boyfriends, girlfriends, I'm going to see who this is. I don't allow them to go and stay at nobody's house. Nobody can come to our house because these little girls, So I get what you're saying about them being kids. My son now, we here till 5 o'clock. You ain't got nothing to do. You ain't going to do nothing but be on that game from this morning until tonight. And again, I say I'm going to get him some help, because I say he's acting out now. And I get on the phone and I do stress to Monica, because I know she's going through, or has been going through with her issue with her son for so many years. And my family say, get him some help. And I'm sitting there like, oh, he don't need no help. I'm going at him like that. And they're afraid to tell me things. And I just want to be, and it's only because of what I deal with. I'm frustrated. I'm stressed out. And every time they say, oh, don't tell her. Before my daughter come to me, she like, Mom, don't yell. Let me just say, because I go from 0 to 1,000 real quick. I mean, just the other day I had an episode with my son. I ran the stop sign. My best friend, she like, look, like that boy, my trigger. Y'all better get him. I'm trying to tell you. So what you gonna do with him? Get him away? I be like, look, y'all better come get him. He my trigger. I love my child. I love my kids. But again, like you say, you don't want them to be out in the streets. You want them to, he needs to understand I'm protecting him from what's going on in the communities. I don't want to feel like I'm sheltering my kids or they can't have a life. But that's why I'm saying, thank God for my wheels, that I can take you out where you want to go, what you want to do. No, you're not going to the playground. No, you're not going there. Right. You can't go to this person's house. They can't. It's just, I'm going through that now, and I try to let them tell me what it is that they want to do, and I support them in anything. He can tell me he playing basketball. He can be the water boy. I'm going to the game, and I'm the loudest parent on the side. And I just try to support them in everything. So I just want to say thank you for, bringing that up about the kids, because they suffer as well. And people always say they too young to have feelings, to understand what's going on. You don't want to hear it. So they're human. So you've now, on that aspect of what I'm dealing with, to just take time and just listen to them and take my medicine, and first, so I can remain calm. And then, give them a time. Because I'm always on the go. I'm always doing something. I'm always busy. And I'm dragging them. And they're like, oh, like today. We ain't got to do chair covers. We ain't got to do Listen, we're going to be here all day. Get used to it. Your life right now is my life. But just, thank you for allowing me to understand that they have to have, say and also be able to come to me and talk to me. And I need to be able to just sit there and relax. You listening? Y'all listening? My kids in the back.
I don't know about locking doors. Y'all mind.
Yeah.
You go in your room and write it down, love.
Yeah. No, but thank you. And Monica, I want to just say thank you and SWAT Radio for having this event. It has been a blessing to me also, and making me aware and also giving me some tips and strategies to even still as I'm surviving with a purpose, to even
Show's coming soon.
to do
Okay, I'm
things
sorry.
in my daily living. So thank you, SWAT Radio.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Now I noticed my daughter was back there. You don't let me go nowhere. Okay. Listen, I just want we was y'all talked about trying to shield them from the things going on in the world. She wanted to go to the carnival. Oh, Mom, I want to go. I'm at work. I did overtime. She texting me. Okay, get me rolled up on a shift that's not mine. Okay? She texting her sister. Can you take me? Took hours. She went, and what happened? Police shut it down. This was when it was at security. I'm just trying to keep you from being in the midst of the mess. Times when we was growing up is so different than it is right now. She want to go to the high school party. Who? Girl, you're still in the 8th grade. You're not even in high school yet, so it's all right. You don't have to go. Like, I don't understand. I just don't want you in the midst of the mess. And because we are teenage mothers over here, y'all clear on my point, right? That's just my child wants to.
I want to hear.
She wants to rebuttal. Hold on a second. Y'all clear on my point. I don't want none of my children to be a teen parent. And I've gotten 3 past that point, and she's getting past that point as well. Which one of you feel free to come up to the mic so we can all. Okay. But do you look at your sister in the mirror? Exactly. They're two different personalities. Okay. These are the children. So listen, you guys. I believe we can carry this further. However, we're gonna have to end the live that we have going via YouTube. So listen, if you're watching, remember to tune into Swap Radio each and every Sunday at 6 p.m. Shantae gonna be a guest. Follow us on social media. On Facebook is Swap Radio. On Instagram is the Swap Radio Show. And if you would like to be a guest, send me an email to the Swap Radio Show @gmail.com. And we're gonna close out the live, but we can keep the conversation going. Girl, mine is done. Okay, so what did you want to say? I mean, we're not live anymore, but you can still state your. Talking about my baby and her turtlenecks. They was in. You like her fashion, girl. You love your sister's fashion, don't you? We're not doing that here, you guys.